In the heart of Mexico, buried deep in the jungle, there are giant heads, carved from basalt. Some weigh 50 tons, with features that are not Native American. Thick lips, wide noses, strange helmets, made 3,000 years ago, before Columbus, before the Vikings, before any known contact between continents. And nobody can explain where the models came from. But the heads are just the beginning. The Olmecs invented writing in the Americas. They invented the calendar that the Maya later perfected. They invented the concept of zero before any old world civilization. They built the first pyramid in the Americas, and then they disappeared, without explanation, without clear descendants, without an answer. Who were the Olmecs? Where did they come from? And why does official history prefer not to ask these questions? The Olmecs flourished between 1500 BC and 400 BC. In the Gulf of Mexico region, today the states of Veracruz and Tabasco, dense tropical jungle, intense heat, difficult terrain, not the place where you'd expect to find the most advanced civilization in the Americas. And yet, it was exactly here that everything began, what they built, the first pyramid in the Americas, at La Venta, 30 meters tall, built 3,000 years ago. Planned cities with central plazas, temples, sophisticated drainage systems, trade routes covering thousands of kilometers, from central Mexico all the way to Guatemala and beyond. What they invented, the first writing system in the Americas, the long count calendar, which the Maya later perfected, and which became famous for the 2012 prophecy. The mathematical concept of zero, the ritual ball game, which later spread throughout all of Mesoamerica. The problem nobody wants to discuss, the Olmecs appear already developed. No visible primitive phase in the archaeological record, no learning period, as if they arrived ready, or as if someone had taught them. And here begins the real mystery. Let's go back to the heads, because this is where conventional archaeology starts to stumble. The numbers, 17 colossal heads discovered to date. The largest stands 3.4 meters tall and weighs 50 tons, all carved from basalt, one of the hardest rocks that exist. On the Mohs scale, basalt sits between 6 and 7, close to granite, far above copper or bronze. The tools available to the Olmecs were stone, bone, and wood. Technically, they shouldn't have been able to carve basalt with that precision, but they did, with extraordinary detail, with individualized portraits, and then they transported these heads 80 kilometers through jungle and swamps, without wheels, without pack animals, without metal. Engineers who have studied the problem always reach the same conclusion. The calculations don't work with available technology. But the heads exist, the mystery of the faces. Each head has a different face, individualized, like a portrait. And the features, thick lips, wide noses, specific facial structure, don't match any native people of the Americas. Some researchers identify similarities with West African populations, others with Middle Eastern populations. The official academy rejects both interpretations, but hasn't presented a convincing alternative explanation for the features. Who were the people depicted in these heads? Rulers? Gods? Visitors? And why did the Olmecs dedicate a monumental effort to preserving these faces in stone? The official answer is silence. But there's a possibility the Academy avoids discussing. The Olmec religion is disturbing, not for what it has that's different, for what it has that's familiar. The divine jaguar. The main Olmec god was a half jaguar, half human entity. The sculptures show transformation, humans becoming jaguars. Not an obvious metaphor, a specific physical representation of a process of change. The Maya inherited this, the Aztecs too. But the idea existed long before them, in the Olmecs, as if there were an older tradition that all of them inherited. The feathered serpent. The Olmecs already had the concept of the feathered serpent, a combination of reptile and bird, of earth and sky, which later became Quetzalcoatl for the Aztecs, Kukulkan for the Maya, the same symbol, passed from civilization to civilization. For 2,000 years, and this symbol doesn't exist only in the Americas. In Sumer, Enki was represented by two intertwined serpents, the caduceus. In Egypt, The uraeus, the royal cobra on the pharaoh's forehead. Throughout the ancient world, the serpent is a symbol of divine knowledge and power. How did the same symbol reach the Olmecs, isolated in Mexico, with no known contact with the old world? The were-jaguars, sculptures of figures with mixed characteristics, half human, half feline. Babies with jaguar faces, adults in transformation. The official interpretation, symbolic representations of shamanic power, rituals of connection with the animal spirit. The alternative interpretation, memory of hybridization. Mixed lineages, like the biblical Nephilim, like Greek demigods, like the hybrid beings that Sumerian texts describe. The Anunnaki, according to Zecharia Sitchin, created humans through genetic modification. Sumerian texts describe beings with mixed characteristics, not completely human, not completely divine. The Olmecs carved exactly that. Coincidence? Collective memory of something real? Or independent parallel imagination? Blood sacrifice. The Olmecs offered blood to their gods, not necessarily human sacrifice on a large scale, but blood was central in rituals. To feed the gods, to maintain a pact, to honor an agreement. Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki demanding offerings and service from the humans they created, the same pattern, in cultures with no known contact, as if both were honoring the same original agreement. And then, around 400 BC, everything stopped, without warning, without gradual transition, without explanation. So, where did the Olmecs come from? Official archaeology says they developed locally. Gradual evolution of earlier local cultures. But there are three problems with that explanation. First, the absence of a primitive phase. Every known civilization has a visible development phase. The Sumerians had centuries of evolution before the first cities. The Egyptians had millennia of pre-dynastic culture before the pyramids. The Olmecs appear already developed in the archaeological record, as if they arrived with the knowledge already formed. Second, the advanced knowledge. The long count calendar the Olmecs created is extraordinarily precise. It calculates the solar year with an error of only 17 seconds per year. To create such a calendar, you need centuries of systematic astronomical observation. Where were those observations made before the Olmecs? There is no record. The knowledge appeared already complete, already tested, already refined, as if it had been brought, not developed. Third, the impossible connections. Pyramids in Mexico and pyramids in Egypt, built around the same era with similar techniques. Flood myths on both continents, with specific details that coincide. The symbol of the divine serpent, present in both traditions. The concept of a god-king who rules by celestial mandate on both sides of the ocean. Cultures with no known contact, with identical cultural elements. The conventional explanation, independent parallel development. The alternative explanation, a common source. A pre-Younger Dryas civilization, what some call Atlantis, that sent survivors to both sides of the ocean. In Egypt, they became the Shemsu Hor. In the Americas, they became the Olmecs. And the knowledge they brought, the calendar, the writing, the monumental architecture, the divine symbols, was the same in both places. Because it came from the same source. It's a theory, not proven fact, but it explains what the official theory cannot, and leaves a question that won't go away. If the Olmecs received knowledge from outside, who were the bearers of that knowledge, and where did they go when the Olmecs disappeared? Around 400 BC, the Olmecs disappeared. What we know, the cities were abandoned. Some colossal heads were deliberately buried, as if they wanted to preserve them or hide them from something that was coming. The population dispersed, migrated, or simply stopped. What we don't know, why they buried the heads, where the survivors went, why such an advanced civilization simply ceased. But the legacy survived. The Maya emerged later. They inherited the Olmec calendar, the Olmec writing, the Olmec religion. The Aztecs too. They inherited Quetzalcoatl from the Olmecs, the Toltecs, the Zapotecs, the Mixtecs. All the great civilizations of Mesoamerica drank from the same source. And that source was the Olmecs. But where did the source drink from? There is an answer that connects the Olmecs to Egypt, to Sumer and to the lost civilizations of the ancient world. An answer that official archaeology avoids, but that the monuments left by the Olmecs suggest with disturbing clarity. In the next video, we'll explore Pakal of Palenque, the Mayan ruler whose sarcophagus lid shows something the Anunnaki theory never forgot. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you.